Hey everybody, welcome to Cult Fiction. This is our much anticipated mutant episode. Today we're going to be talking about X-Men 97, new series that's just come out on Disney Plus, which is a continuation of the old X-Men cartoon series. And we're going to be talking about our favorite mutants. So I'm looking forward to what everybody's got on their list as far as that is concerned. Um, to start with, we're going to start with Gus because
Yeah.
Gus didn't even watch X-Men 97. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask Gus why he didn't get a chance to watch it. He's going to tell us a cool story. Here we go.
I've been super busy.
Hey, Gus, let me ask you this, Gus. Did you watch the X-Men cartoon when it was on, like back in the 90s?
No,
Okay.
Hmm.
no.
Well, so that's
So
understandable. You
you're
weren't
you're
excited
you're
about it.
useless today. All right.
I'll be honest. I wasn't excited about it. I can't get excited about X-Men. I think Wolverine was a samurai at some point. I want to watch that franchise. I like Magneto. He wants to kill all the humans to protect himself. Game on, baby. And that's about it. I'm
That's the
sorry.
perfect review.
That is a perfect review. Actually, it's more perfect than you might realize with regards to the show itself. So let's go to Alex then. You do have your list of your favorite mutants though, right,
Oh,
guys?
yeah,
Okay.
fully.
So we're gonna do a mount on mutants after we go around the table on X-Men 97. Alex, I'm anxious to hear what you have to say about X-Men 97.
Yeah, I
This
think I
is the
mentioned this.
first this is the first four episodes, right?
Well,
Everybody's watched the first four, right? Okay.
well, yeah, I think I mentioned to you earlier, like I watched the first episode, first, obviously, and but that was all I watched, because I only had time for one episode, and I was just kind of like, obviously, it's a cartoon, Saturday morning cartoon, and everything, and I wasn't grabbed by it at all, and it's kind of like Damsel. I know I'm not really the target audience. I like X-Men. I grew up reading the comics and everything, but I wasn't particularly grabbed by anything. But I did like the hook they had at the end,
Right.
where it was like, comes in like, Magneto is going to lead the X-Men now, and I'm kind of like, okay, that's a neat little story development, and I was kind of intrigued by it. So going into the next episode, I was a little bit more involved, and I thought the story kind of picked up a little bit in the second episode. And one of the things I always liked about X-Men, even as a kid, was the relationship between Charles Xavier and Magneto. They kind of have this, they want the same kind of goal, just with different methods a little bit. And it wasn't until I was older and I heard about how Stan Lee based it on the relationship between, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, that I could really kind of see
Mhm.
the shades of everything that he was doing with the characters. And so having that little, reversal with Magneto leading the team was really, really interesting. And I really liked that. And the second episode overall, I really enjoyed because I liked everything about it. Story-wise, I liked Magneto, just surrendering and giving himself up and saying, okay, I'm going to trust your judgment on this. And then they all fail, don't convince him and everything. And there was the rant one of the guys had when he was beating up Cyclops, where it's like, you guys don't get it. It's just your whining that we can't stand. It's not you. You think nobody else has any problems. And I thought that was really kind of an astute observation for a cartoon like this, like socially,
Right.
because it's very true for, what people might call right wingers. That is really the issue, is that it's like, yeah, everybody's got problems. You're a guy, you have problems. We all have problems. But anyway, so starting with the episode two, I actually did get more into it story-wise, and I thought they had layers on the story development and the writing that I wasn't expecting. And so I enjoyed episode two, three, four significantly more than I enjoyed the first episode. So overall, I'm going to give it a thumbs up. And I'd tell somebody, if you're like an adult like me and you watch the first one, you're like, yeah, it's a cartoon. Yeah, cool. Check out the second episode. You might be a little bit more, it might grab you a little bit more than you would think a cartoon like that could.
I totally agree, by the way. I mirrored your experience in the sense that the first episode I thought was interesting. I didn't think it was, super fantastic or anything like that, but the hook at the end with Magneto got me, and then I liked the additional episodes that much more. We were able to watch the summation of all the previous seasons from that video that Eric posted. We should post that on the info on this video too, so people can check it out. Basically, if you haven't watched X-Men 90, the X-Men cartoon before you watch X-Men 97, you should watch this. It's like a half-hour video, right? That basically catches somebody up with all the. So check that out. That kind of gives you the background on the story, because there's a whole bunch of story that's happened before this series even begins. I really liked that they put Magneto in charge, that we don't know where Xavier is, that it adds this whole wrinkle of just interesting stuff to the show. And so I feel like you do. When I sat down to watch it, I figured this would be kind of a nostalgic thing. I don't know that I would like it too much, but I'm in. I'm down to check it out. I think the story is actually really interesting and really good. So I'm fairly excited. I think it's pretty dang cool. Let's go to Eric. I know, Eric, you probably dug this the most out of all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the whole thing recently on Disney Plus. I watched all 5 seasons. Just knocked them out over the course of like a couple of weeks. The action is significantly better than before. Like,
right.
Significantly better.
It's like a retro cell animation. It's not really old school animation. It's like new techniques that look like old animation. So the animation is a lot better.
The animation's a lot better. The other thing I noticed was, starting in season 3 of the old show, the animation would kind of go like this, where it'd be like, oh, that's really good animation, and then it would drop back down again, and then it'd be like, whoa. I'm like, did you guys not have the same people like all year? Whatever. But this animation is much more even keeled. It's better. I'm sure some people, they've said, oh, I don't like the cell shading, whatever it is. Some people like DC animated movies. They do some really good animation and stuff. I can't fault them for that. But I do like this X-Men 97 animation. But the action is just so much more better. Like, when you watch the original, it'd be like 2 little things and someone would faint, and then 2 little things and someone it was horrendous. Like, it just
really
that
old
was
school.
The one thing.
It was Saturday morning cartoon. Like, when Alex says it was a Saturday morning cartoon, that's really what it was.
When you watch morning cartoons in in a binge, man, you really see like the faults, right?
Sure,
like, I remember years and years ago, when my son was very little, over the summer we watched all like the 1994 Spider-Man, right? And seemed like every other episode he was talking about, like, I don't know if I want to be Spider-Man anymore.
Right. Oh, I'm out of web fluid.
Yes, it was like, bro.
Every episode, like, oh, I'm tapped.
Again? No web fluid? Again? You don't know if you want to be Spider again?
Right.
But, got like a week in between, you kind of forget about it, right? But when you watch like 6 of those in a row, because you're just hunkering down with your kid and watching them, you're like, oh, get a new thing, dude. And that's what it was watching, like, the original X-Men. Was like, motherfuckers faint all the time. Why are they always fainting? Like, their powers are, dude, and Wolverine in the original sucked so hard, dude. So much better already in this one. It's not even funny. He sucked so hard. He got his ass kicked all the time. Jean Grey, I know it's a meme that she faints all the time, and Storm is super powerful, but Storm faints all the time. It almost became unbearable towards the end.
Right.
It's a drinking game, dude.
It's
a drinking game.
It is.
You would die. You would die.
I mean, I kind of get what they were doing. Like, they were basically like, if a villain can beat up Wolverine, that proves the villain's tough, right? So, like, he was like the measuring stick,
Right. But if they would do stupid things like, because of course it's a Saturday morning cartoon. Like I remember there was one where he broke into like the Hellfire Club, and they had guards, and they were like, oh, you're not supposed to be here, and he's just like, make me leave, bub, or whatever. He's all, claws come out, and then it shows him punching them without his claws.
Right.
Dude,
I remember.
it's one of those characters where it's just like,
You can't just be.
Oh,
You can't be
It's
stabbing
murder.
the working man in the
Right.
face, dude.
I remember
the whole
even
thing is murder.
watching
Like,
the
his
show.
whole-
I
like,
remember
you could
watching
make-
the show. Go ahead.
What's that?
I remember watching the show back in the 90s and being like, why isn't Wolverine ever using his claws?
Right.
Why isn't this
Right.
ever happening? But I think as an adult, it's just because they had standards that they had to meet ratings wise. I think that's the only
100%.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
because like
You could make like Cyclops is saying, it's like, oh, it's a concussive blast
Right.
or whatever,
Right.
or Gambit's cards, concussive blast.
Right.
These things,
They don't knock you out.
murder machine.
Right.
Because
Think about
I,
it, this is
I
dude, where
yeah.
all he has to do is land a punch and you're dead. You're dead.
Right.
right.
So
And 5 seasons of that show, I think the only thing he ever used his claws on was Sentinels.
Yeah.
right,
That's
exactly,
right.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So this the story's been good so far. It's a nice continuation. Charles is, spoiler alert, he's probably out in space with his love interest, healing up. I don't know if he's going to be able to come back or whatever. The action is better. The animation is better. Yeah, I mean, that's what I want so far, is the animation and the action to be better, because that was the thing that was sorely lacking. Because the story was always pretty good. It was a pretty good story, for a Saturday morning cartoon.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, the storytelling in this one is just more mature than I anticipated.
yeah,
Right.
It's definitely not an adult show, but it deals
Right.
with themes and developments that are, that are more
Yeah,
than you would
it's more
expect from
it's more
from
young
Cartoon.
adult. Like the last one really was for
Yeah.
kids, under
Yeah,
12.
Mhm. Well,
you still get that shit where like Storm falls in love with Forge after like a day and a half.
Right.
no.
Right. So
Right.
that.
And
Right.
Like, you're a goddess and I love you. And it's just like,
Nah,
has it really been days?
it's almost
Has it been, like,
creepy. Almost
Like,
creepy.
that's
almost
some,
creepy.
that was some Stockholm syndrome shit. Like you kind of kidnapped her, and now you're like telling her you love her. I can give you back your powers, and I love you. Don't leave.
Weird.
Yeah, but that's that's the shit. That's that kind of shit where that's kids movie stuff like Frozen, where it's just like, we're in love in like 4 hours.
Right. Yeah. It's wonky. What else, Bueller? What do you got?
I mean, I enjoy it. I just kind of feel like it's having a bit of an identity crisis, trying to figure out who its audience is,
Sure.
because obviously its core audience should be guys like us who grew up watching it.
Right.
But they're also trying to appeal to a younger audience because it's a youth cartoon, and that's evidenced by like it not being an adult cartoon, which we've seen plenty of. They have plenty of opportunity to do that. They're not going to go in that direction. They're going to keep it kid friendly, and that's cool too. But that it's a difficult balance to find, in my opinion. So I find a lot of the stuff that I've seen, while I'm interested in the storyline and the turn that they've taken and things like that, there's still plenty of things that are just kind of like, it's a kid show. And I have to understand that going into it, it's still going to be a kid show. And so like, you have to really prepare yourself. If you haven't watched it yet, you're watching a kid show. It is nostalgic, but it's still also a kid's cartoon. A lot of callbacks to the OG one, like Eric was saying, super cool with that. Wolverine is always a fan favorite. So I kind of like that they're not centering the story around him as much this time. And they're also giving Cyclops a little bit more love. Like, I thought it was super cool that he used his blast to move around.
Right. When he
Yeah,
jumped
that
out of the plane.
cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Not
Yeah,
just jumping out of the plane, but also when they did the attack to save the new kid, and he
Mm.
was using the blast on the ground to scoot him and the kid away. Like, I thought that was pretty cool concept that didn't show in the original cartoon. Storm being the goddess and being super OP is kind of funny to me because like they all go in to fight the Sentinels in the first episode and they're like, well, we can't beat the Sentinels, but this one person on our team can annihilate every single one of them. I was like, well, why the fuck are you there then? Just send Storm. Why'd you guys even go? But of course, then we know she loses her powers and she's gone with Forge. Magneto was a dope ass twist. I personally find it hilarious where he's like, everything that was Charles is now mine. I'm like, so you own people now? You own the X-Men? You own them? They
Yeah.
can't just be like, well, we don't want to work for you. We're going to leave. They're like, oh, no, we belong to Magneto now. Shucks. Like, what do you
Well, he
mean?
like inherited their house basically, so they're like his tenants
Yeah.
now, you know. So
I mean, but yeah, it's like they don't want to work for Magneto. They could be like, well, you know what? We're just going to go somewhere else and start our own X group. Whatever.
the X dorks,
All the money that they make from working
Right.
as X-Men.
right? The huge salary they draw from fighting
Right,
crime.
Yeah.
right. Can they draw unemployment? I don't know. So I mean, there's a lot of funny nuances in the show that but I'm enjoying it absolutely. I'm looking forward to the characters that I know are going to be introduced. I've seen a few spoilers for episodes coming up. I probably shouldn't divulge them here, but I think that it's cool. They're going to try to expand the universe a bit with characters that we all know of. If you read any of the comics, then you know of them too. But they're going to be bringing a lot of new characters into this show just over the short season, which is super cool. The relationship with Rogue and Magneto is interesting, and Gambit
Mhm.
watching from the corner and crying about it, like, okay, whatever. Like, I mean, I'm a Gambit nerd, so I'm like, all right, fine.
I'm
That's
bummed
what
out
we're
for
gonna
him.
do.
I'm
Yeah.
bummed out for him. Not gonna lie.
Things. It's like four episodes in, and Gambit's done nothing except for like see his old lady kind of step out on him and wear a midriff shirt, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of like,
I think he didn't he make some gumbo? He made some gumbo.
Made some
Right.
beignets too. Yeah.
Yeah, beignets. That's what it
Not
was.
to be underestimated.
Right.
yeah. And I'm gonna say
Does he fight with cards?
of
Yeah,
this cast,
he does.
of this cast, you could make a strong argument that Gambit is the second most popular character,
Right.
and
Yeah.
like nothing in 4 episodes, nothing.
Nothing.
I don't know. That's
Nothing.
I'm sure he's got an episode coming though. You
Maybe
know,
he'll
they're
be a
gonna-
late bloomer.
Right.
And that,
they-
with that being said, having an episode coming like this, the last episode that we just bless you, the last episode that we just saw, like, I'm sorry, what the was that, dude? Like the first 3 episodes, they were linear, they had a great story going, and then they throw this 4th episode at us that was a 2-parter,
Montendo.
a Montendo episode with Jubilee. Well, are you trying to show us that Jubilee doesn't suck? Because Jubilee sucks, dude.
She really does suck.
Jubilee
Yeah.
is probably one of the worst additions that the X-Men could have ever picked up.
I don't know, but then okay, so check it out. Here's my hope. Because she encounters like old Jubilee in the game, right?
I have a whole different problem with that encounter.
Okay,
too.
whatever. But she encounters old Jubilee, and old Jubilee's got some salt. Like she could do some stuff with her powers, right?
Uh-huh.
She can do some different things. So like maybe new Jubilee will pick up on some of the tricks that old Jubilee can do and won't suck as hard anymore.
But here's my problem with that. It's not old Jubilee. That Jubilee is a generated computer program that was created by
Yeah,
Mojo.
but you know what I mean.
I know, but that's what I'm trying to say. Mojo doesn't know what future Jubilee's powers are. Nobody knows what future Jubilee's powers are, except for maybe Bishop. That's it. So how does this video game know what her future powers are? No idea. That's like going back to 8-year-old you, and 8-year-old you wouldn't know that you'd be doing a podcast tonight. They'd have no fucking idea. So how does this video game know what Jubilee's powers are going to be when she's old?
I'm just saying old Jubilee can do some tricks with the powers
But it's not old Jubilee. It's a computer program that's
Okay.
based on the Jubilee that they know.
computer program Jubilee can do some stuff with Jubilee's powers that Jubilee wasn't aware that she could do.
Because she probably can't, because it's a computer program that doesn't know anything about future Jubilee.
What's that, Eric?
But maybe she can. But
Yeah,
maybe she
but she
can.
Maybe she
can't.
can. Maybe she can learn something from this.
Maybe
you know.
she can throw fucking light saw blades.
Yeah. No, she did. She did something like that. She
I
like
think-
moved. She used her powers to move, and then she like. Sorry, Alex, go ahead.
I think my favorite part of this whole conversation is Gus's face. But
Gus is just like, oh,
nerds.
No, I just-
Cyclo Man with the magnet guy and the flying.
That's right. That's right.
I know. I know 3 X-Men. I got 3.
Okay.
Professor X, Magneto, and Wolverine. That's it. All this other stuff, like I'm intrigued by the French cooking guy.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by that.
Yeah.
That's
French
power.
cooking guy.
Power?
That's what he calls Gambit. Is French cooking guy.
I've spent a ridiculous amount of money collecting French cooking guy.
Yeah, he buys the cards, and he's French cooking. I'm intrigued with that.
Yeah. He'll get an episode. You watch. He'll get an episode.
Oh, I hope he gets a pop figure now that comes with like a pot full of like
Dude,
gumbo or something.
it's a big old
An
gumbo pot.
apron and a chef's hat.
Like the Raging Cajun of the X-Men or something.
Yeah, dude, he is.
Yeah,
He's
the
probably
Raging
the-
Cajun.
He's probably the best cook on the team.
So he's like making batter fried gator.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds right.
Dude, I'm there.
Thing.
I gave up eating reptiles, but I'll do it for that.
That sounds
yeah.
tasty.
So far he's been a cook and a cuck on this series,
Oh. Ouch.
which is definitely disappointing. Disappointing.
So we're giving it a
Um,
thumbs up,
Yeah,
everybody.
of course it is. I mean, I'm watching it. It's good so far. I just think the Motendo episode was fucking dumb. Nobody's ever gonna like Jubilee. She's dumb.
But it was only half an episode, right? The second
So-
half.
So they could give us a 2-parter with Storm and Forge. Just make that the episode.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit about Jubilee. Nobody ever will.
Well,
True.
I mean, you're not wrong, but maybe they could make Jubilee cooler. I don't know. Anyway, I still enjoyed it. So
I mean, one of
You're not
the
a-
power is Flash.
yeah.
What's that, Eric?
You're not a 15-year-old girl, Bueller. That's who Jubilee is for. The 15-year-old girls.
Fair enough.
You know?
I did like with Magneto saying, or whatever he told Jubilee about going to the arcade, about you would have the god of blah 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 be seen in a place of make believe. Then he wants to go to the fucking danger room and train. What's the danger room?
Yeah.
Right.
It's a fucking room of make believe.
It's a computer game. Yep.
Sounds or something.
Anyway, I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to see the next episode because I've seen spoilers and it's going to be good times.
Good. I'm looking forward to it as well. All right. Let's do our mount. We're going to do our mount with our favorite mutants. That is not just mutants from the X-Men or the X-Men universe. Any mutant from a story. So whatever mutants you guys want to talk about. Gus, let's start with you, man. I'm anxious to hear your favorite mutants.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Splinter.
There you go. Very
It's great.
nice.
It's great. Like, it's a great story. The origin story is super cool. Right? Like it's I love it. You know, he's like the pet rat, knows all the moves, toxic goo in New York. And then like what's there not to love? It's New York, pizza, skateboarding, surfing, ninjas, Master Splinter. It's beautiful. I love it.
Agreed.
And for I think it was the first I think it's my first like introduction to like ninja samurai shit, which I like.
There you go.
I like the cartoon.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. Anything else, or is that it? That's your mutants.
Well, other than Toxic Adventure and Swamp Thing, maybe. I think Swamp Thing might be one.
Swamp
I'm
Thing's
not-
kind of is Swamp Thing a mutant? Does he count?
I think he's a monster.
Is he?
I like Swamp Thing.
No,
Maybe-
wait, he was created, right? So yeah, he's a mutant.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
Swamp Thing. Maybe they could do a collab with the Cajun Cooking guy and Swamp Thing, where they like fight like I don't know something.
Gators. They just
Yeah,
fight
splicing
gators.
like splicing counts, right? Splicing makes you a mutant.
Yeah, but
Right.
that's all I got. I don't know a lot of the mutant world.
Fair enough.
That's where my problem came in, to be honest with you, with this mount. If I could jump in real quick,
Yeah, do it.
because obviously there's so many in the superhero universe. There's so many different, like, I don't know if you would call them sub races or whatever. Because I mean, you got aliens, you got mutants, you have sorcerers, you got all kinds of shit. And so when we're talking about mutants, are we talking about born mutants? Are we talking about made mutants? Are we talking about both? Um, and so it just kind of set my mind on a spiral. And then I realized that I don't know as many mutants as I thought, especially not outside of the X-Men universe. So I definitely jumped on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle wagon, and I was going to give them one of my slots, just like all four of them, one of my slots. But then I was like, okay, is this like my favorite mutants, or is this mutants that I would want to have their powers, or is this like the mutants that I think are the best?
Up to you.
You know, so I don't know, man. I mean, so I kind of pigeonholed myself into the like. I think the Ninja Turtles are rad. I'm reading The Last Ronin right now, which is a really cool story.
Me too.
You
Straight
read it
up.
too? Yeah, nice. Yeah, no,
That's a good one.
it's a good read. I'm about halfway through it because I read slow and I'm stupid. But
Brittany.
I only read I read one part and then I put it down for a couple days and I read another part. But I mean, obviously I'm a Gambit nerd, so Gambit's going to be one of my favorite mutants, obviously. But you know, if I'm looking at like badassery, you know, like Magneto is hard to say no to that guy. Like, if I was to pick to be a mutant, it'd be Magneto. The guy can fucking do anything he wants, man.
Right.
Really, he's awesome. And on that same note, like Jean Grey is a badass as well, in the same vein. And so that would be my four. But if I was going to take the Ninja Turtles out, then I would probably stay in the X-Men universe and go with it would either be Wolverine or Deadpool, only because I like the longevity they have. I think it'd be super cool to have like that, not just the invincibility, but also that they're not immortal, but they live for a really long time.
Right.
Which I think it would be really cool to have both of those things together, to be virtually unkillable and almost immortal would be super cool to have those. So it's a tough 4 pick for me. But yeah, I mean, I'm with like Magneto for sure, Jean Grey for sure, probably Wolverine and Gambit.
Sounds right. That sounds good. Eric, what are yours?
Wolverine's number 1.
Okay.
Number 2 would be Deadpool. So along the same lines. Number 3 would be I went with Archangel. Not Angel. That's dumb. Dumbass. Dumb character. This angel, like feathered wings.
A vampire?
Dumb.
No, this is from the X-Men universe, Angel. He just had wings. That was it.
Just had wings. Stupid. Now Archangel. And he could throw like an endless supply of like razor blades at motherfuckers.
Mm.
Dope.
That's pretty
dope.
cool.
4. Bueller's mom. Wait, no.
Ooh.
Fucker. No.
She is a mutant. She is a mutant.
Now too. No, number 4.
What is she, an albino or something? I don't.
No. 4. I went with Raphael because the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are a team like the X-Men. So, like, I'm doing one, like
right.
each of them. Raphael was always my favorite because of the color red, because I love red, and I'm just like, you know, I made that decision when I was 9. So fuck you, right? Yeah. So that was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, my favorite color is red, so my favorite turtle is Raphael, and then he ended up being badass. So
that's exactly what I'm in the same boat, dude. Raphael's my guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that became a total win for me, you know. So Raphael, dope.
I like that. All right, Alex.
You would not like The Last Ronin then.
Yeah.
What do you got, Alex?
So my first one is a little bit of a cheat because it's like I mentioned before, the relationship between Professor X and Magneto has always been something that really interested me even when I was younger. And, you know, it's like as I got older, you know, I appreciated where it came from, and I just, you know, it's like it's a real mature relationship for a comic book. And they, you know, back when I started reading them, you know, in the 80s and everything, they didn't have a relationship as deep as that, where you have these 2 guys that are enemies, but they're still friends, and they have, you know, their own philosophies that are odd, but at their core, they're still friends that have a great deal of respect for each other, and they want the best thing. It's just they have a total clash of what they think the best thing is. But that relationship has always been super interesting to me. So a little bit of a cheat, the kind of Professor X / Magneto relationship on the mount. Second one is going to be like, is a vampire a mutant? That's a question to think about.
I think it depends on what universe you're in.
I think vampires are monsters, right?
Right. Vampires are monsters, but I think there are some universes where they are a mutation. So
Whatever, they're mutants. So I'm going to say,
like
prove
Underworld.
me wrong, like
in-
with science.
In Underworld, I think they
Well-
were a kind of mutation, right? In Underworld, and even in Blade 2, the vampires in Blade 2 were a mutation of the
That's
original
true.
vampires, right? So like
Right.
depending on where
Yeah.
you're at, like what you're gonna
Whatever. Point is,
the council has spoken.
My second mutant is going to be Jesse Hooker from Neo Dark, who was the leader of the pack of vampires in Neo Dark,
That's
played
pretty
by
cool.
Lance Henriksen.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people. I know Jubal's seen the movie Neo Dark. I don't
Yeah.
know who else had, but it's an absolute
Like
classic,
nobody else has seen that movie.
fantastic vampire movie that a lot of people don't realize was directed by crap, I forget her name, but she was the first
Quentin
woman to
Tarantino.
win. Yeah, she was the first woman to win Academy Award for Best Director for The Hurt Locker.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, it was one of her first movies, and it's a fantastic movie. And he plays a character that's just amazing. A guy who was in Civil War, and everything became a vampire. Anyway, if you've seen the movie, you understand what a great character he is.
Right.
The third on my list is a character from the X-Files, Eugene Victor Toombs, who was in the first season. Maybe people remember him as the guy who could like just stretch his arms really, really long and like steal your liver. And I just remember when I was watching X-Files, I was a big fan of the X-Files as a kid.
Wasn't that like the
And-
first episode?
I want to say it was like the 4th or 5th episode of the first season.
He
something
could like go through air vents.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
he
guy
could,
was
like,
creepy.
clapped and it's like kind of creepy,
Yeah.
And that was probably the first episode that really kind of solidified me as a huge X-Files fan at the time, because it was the first episode that was really kind of a horror
Right.
episode.
Fair.
And it was just kind of scary, kind of weird, and the villain was like creepy and weird and everything. And so ultimately I have to put him on my list. But also
Respect.
the actor that plays him, Doug Hutchinson, never plays normal characters. You'd recognize his face if you see him. He always plays creepy, weird guys. He was in Green Mile as like the sadistic security guard. And like
Right.
Percy Wetmore, like the little sniveling,
Right.
cowardly, you just hated him. And like he never plays a normal character. He always plays these weird side characters. But so he's on my mount. And last but not least, on my Mount Rushmore mutants, I have that hot as fuck blonde chick from the episode of Twilight Zone full of pig people. Because simply because, man, I would love it if I were on that planet and there was like a hot blonde chick and everybody else was a pig that thought that she was ugly. I remember as a teenager, this was like one of my fantasies because I was a fat weirdo that couldn't get laid to save his life. That was one of my fantasies, man. That was one of my fantasies. A whole planet of pig people with one hot blonde chick. I'm in.
I'm with you there, dude.
In. And she
was-
thinks she's ugly
Yeah.
and she's not a pig.
She was a beautiful lady, and she was not a pig.
Hmm.
So here's the thing.
Number one.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you. Respect to your list. In fact, my first pick is the same as yours. Is Xavier and Magneto. Their relationship really defines the entire X-Men universe, and it's a really adult and like grown up relationship that sort of is like a philosophical umbrella over the entire X-Men universe. I really like Xavier and Magneto and how they interact together. So I've got them. Number 2, well, that would be 1 and 2. I put them as 1 and 2. Number 3 for me was nobody brought it up. Heroes. Like the whole first
Totally
3
forgot.
seasons of Heroes, I really dug the way that they kind of approached it, right? Like how all the different characters in that show were really interesting, from the cheerleader to like the banker that could fly to like the Chinese programmer that could travel through time. I really liked Hero. I liked all of the guys in there, including Sylar, the villain. I can't remember the actor's name, but he's the one who
Zachary Quinto.
played Spock in the new series, the new Star Trek series, which is a segue to my 4th mutant, who is my favorite mutant, I think, of all time, which is Khan from Wrath of Khan.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
The original Khan, played by Ricardo Montalban, was in my view one of the great cinematic villains in history. And like I said, in the original Star Trek Part 2, Wrath of Khan, I think in its own right was just a top tier science fiction movie, and that he was one of the great villains. He was absolutely a mutant because he was genetically engineered. I liked Cumberbatch as Khan. I thought he did a pretty good job. He does a pretty good job in everything that he does, but he couldn't hold a candle to the original, to Montalban. That guy was just so menacing and so great. So that's my list. Anything else about mutants you guys want to share before we log off?
Yeah, honorable mention to Love Sausage from The Boys.
Oh,
Yeah, well, you
He's
can do
back.
that if you want. What's that, Gus?
What's this Civil War vampire flick? What's that one?
Near Dark.
Near Dark.
It
Yeah,
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't take place in the Civil War, but like the lead vampire of the pack in that movie has been around since the Civil War.
I'll watch.
Near Dark is
yeah.
a really cool
We'll
vampire
watch it
flick.
sometime.
We should watch it sometime for sure.
Yeah, dude. Down.
I'm
I'm
down.
a big vampire anytime, anywhere. Vamp out.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Speaking of,
Oh,
speaking of vampires, best explanation for Dracula wasted on a shitty Dracula movie,
Dracula 2000.
hands down,
Mhm.
hands down. Dracula 2000.
Yeah.
Such
What a waste
what
of an
an-
origin story, you know?
What a waste of an origin story on such a shitty movie. God dang it.
100%.
Anyway,
All right.
it's
So
sad.
Near Dark and Dracula 2000, 2 vampire movies that you should watch. Thanks for watching our mutant episode where we talk about vampires. Good night, everybody.